Welcome to the 7 Levels of Energy workshop. I am your host, Jennifer Della Quadri. I am a life coach for women in midlife. And I wanted to host this workshop because I'm going to be covering some things that can really impact your overall quality of life and your overall fulfillment and sense of joy in every area of your life. So without further ado, let's dive in. First, before I get into the 7 levels of energy, I want to explain to you where it comes from. I am a coach that's certified through IPEC coaching, and this is a tool that we were trained to use with our clients. And so when I work with a client, I give them an assessment that shows their energy levels and how they show up in their life. And we do an evaluation to see where they are. And that's a starting point for helping them figure out how to get to where they want to go. So that's a little background on that. What you can expect in this workshop is I will first talk about energy in general. I'm going to break down all of the 7 levels of energy, and then we're going to do some activities together to help you understand how energy is showing up in your life and also help you know how to shift that energy to something that feels a little more uplifting and forward momentum focused. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the meat and the content of this workshop. First, just know that when I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about how you show up in the world, how you feel on an everyday basis. And a lot of that has to do with how you perceive the world around you. It's like you're wearing a set of glasses that help you understand what's happening outside of you. And then it gets filtered in through the inside of you to help you understand how you're perceiving things. So when you have kind of a uplifted type of an energy, that's going to impact how you show up, what you say, and what you think about situations. It's also going to impact how other people respond to you and how other people receive what you're saying. And then vice versa, if you have more of a heavier kind of down energy, that's also going to show up the decisions you make. It's going to show up in the conversations you have, what you say, what you decide to do, and also how they respond to you. So for all intents and purposes, there are 2 types of energy. The first is called anabolic energy, and that's the first one I was talking about. So basically, it's a constructive, uplifting, expanding, kind of fueling feeling that you have. It's more growth oriented, and it helps you to have just a more conscious and complete view of situations and the world around you. It makes it easier to come up with solutions. So think about times in your life when you feel that way. That's anabolic energy, where you just feel a little uplifted and inspired. On the other hand, there is catabolic energy, which is the second one that I mentioned in my example. It's more of a draining, resisting, contracting energy. And while that energy can give you kind of a boost of energy to get things done, it really does come at a cost, because with it comes a lot of maybe stress and overwhelm and just heavier emotions with it. And that can also lead to mental, emotional, and physical draining. So catabolic and anabolic energy. And when I break down the 7 levels of energy, all of those 7 levels will fall within those 2 categories. 2 of them are catabolic, which is the heavier, more draining type of energy. And then the other 5 are more anabolic. Okay, so the 7 levels of energy, I'm going to go through each one briefly. And when I do, what I'd like you to do is just question, like ask yourself, when you hear the description of the energy, where in your life do you feel that energy? Do you show up with that energy, or do you see things through that lens? So I like to imagine each one is like a lens, like glasses that you're putting on. And when you put on the glasses, that's kind of how you view the world. So starting then first with level 1. So level 1 energy, like I mentioned, is a catabolic energy. It's more of a destructive and draining, and it's associated with just more stress. So I talked about the catabolic and anabolic. So the overall perspective is when you're in level 1, the internal narrative is I lose. Like that's kind of the feeling that comes with a level 1 energy. It's kind of a victim perspective. And it also, when you're in a level one energy, the situation feels out of your control. And so feelings that are associated with level one are fear, worry, overwhelm, doubt, and powerlessness. So, with all of these energies, it's important to recognize that there's no judgment on any of them as to them being good or bad, right or wrong. There's no winning in this, it's just an awareness. So, with level one energy, even though it sounds very negative and very heavy, there are some advantages to it. And some of that is that when you're in level one energy, you might hold yourself back and therefore protect yourself from some of those uncomfortable situations that you're wanting to avoid. And also, it keeps you from having to assume any responsibility for the situation or any negative life events. Another really advantage of being in level one is that others may have sympathy for you and support you through that. And then the disadvantage on that side is basically you just aren't feeling as satisfied with life and not as fulfilled. So it can feel very heavy and draining. Many clients who come to me, the dominant energy that they have when they're in a stressed state is level one. So feeling just kind of down in the dumps, burnt out, lacking energy, like life is happening to me. I don't have any control over what's happening here. And it may be in different situations where you feel level one and maybe not so much in others. So a lot of the times when clients come to me, they may have a lot of level one energy with a certain relationship that they have, maybe not in their whole life experience, but like a specific area. So whether it's, weight loss or a relationship that they have, or just, their ability to navigate their career, there might be like a sense of lack of control and like a victim kind of feeling with that. But maybe it's not showing up in every area. So again, just ask yourself, and just an internal answer is, where in my life might I be showing up with level one energy or with a level one lens on the situation? Now I'm going to move on to the next level, which is level two. That's also a catabolic energy, one of the more draining energies. Of the perspective in level two is I win, you lose. It's more of a black and white kind of thinking. And there's conflict involved versus a teamwork situation. And there might be some blaming that happens in level two, like it's someone else's fault that this is happening. They're the responsible for this. And a lot of feelings associated with level two revolve around anger, resentment, entitlement, and frustration. So again, imagining in lives where, again, most people who come to me, women specifically, there may be level two present. It's not always the primary. That shows up a lot in men, to be very honest with you, because men in general have more judgment around feeling sad. And so they'll go to anger instead. And again, there's no judgment as to what's right or wrong, good or bad. It's just awareness. When I'm in a catabolic state, do I go to level one or level two? Most people are definitely level one and level two when they're in a catabolic state. But there are, again, like I mentioned, advantages. So an advantage for level two is that it gives you the energy to get a lot done. It's like, well, I got to do something about this. I've got a fire lit. Whereas level one, there's not as much energy to do anything about it. But a disadvantage there is it can impact your motivation because you're pushing so hard with that heavy energy, and that can lead to burnout. And of course, your satisfaction in life and productivity from other areas. So if there's a lot of conflict in a certain area of your life and you're really pushing hard to get things done or to make things happen or to make this person do what you want them to do, and you're not getting the results that you want, it can be really draining. So yes, it gives you the energy, but over time, it can come at a cost to your overall satisfaction in life. Now I'm going to move on to the more anabolic levels of energy, starting with level 3, which is I win and I hope you win too. This level of energy, it's kind of like a bridge between the catabolic energy and the anabolic energy. So it feels better than those heavier emotions, but it's not super uplifting. It's kind of a middle ground. And with this level 3, there's a lot more acceptance of what's going on, more taking responsibility for your role in the situation and finding the silver lining. A lot of people who are on level 3 will say, well, it is what it is. It's better than nothing. I'm okay with it, right? Like it's all right. It doesn't mean it's great, but it doesn't mean it's awful. It's like, all right, well, this is just how things are. So in a level 3 energy, you're coping. You might be releasing some of that negative energy. You might be compromising. And there's also some forgiveness there. So it's a little more uplifting and forward moving than the other two. So then again, as I mentioned these, think about areas in your life where you might be in a level 3 perspective. The advantages to level 3 is you're able to move past the judgment and the negativity and remain focused on staying positive so you can move forward toward your desired outcome. And then the disadvantage would be that you're not really addressing the root cause of the situation necessarily. So for example, you're in a job that's not fulfilling to you, but it pays the bills. You don't love it, you don't hate it, it's all right. So when you're in a level 3, it's like, oh, well, it is what it is. I'll just settle for this. You're not necessarily addressing the reason you don't like your job or doing anything to make it better. It's like, okay, this is just where I am. So settling for good enough, not necessarily working towards something that could be better or more fulfilling for you. Now for level 4 is a you win perspective. And level 4 is what I like to call the compassion level. You're coming from a heart perspective. You're really concerned and caring for others. A lot of women have a lot of level 4 energy. We care for our kids. We care for our siblings. We care for our family. We care for our parents. We care for our pets, right? We care for everyone. And that can feel really good. And also, there can be some advantages and disadvantages here. So obviously the advantage is when you're caring for somebody, it feels good. It feels good to be a nurturing person and to make someone's life a little bit easier or a little bit better. The disadvantage, and this is what many of my clients fall into, is that they're caring so much for other people that they don't have enough energy for themselves. And so that's, again, where that burnout comes in. And I'm doing so much for others, and potentially resentment, which is level 2, resentment that I'm not getting what I need here because I'm giving so much to others. So even though compassion feels good, if it's not within balance and if it's not with a set of boundaries, it can feel very draining. And to be honest with you, most of the clients who come to me are heavy level 4 and level 1 people. They give, and then they're drain, drain, drain. Think about level 4 in your life. Imagine where it shows up. Think about where you have it in your life, and then just be aware with it. And we're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to get to the evaluating and how to shift it and move it in a moment. But this is just the baseline. Moving further up the anabolic energy chart, which is level 5. Level 5 is we both win. It's very much a teamwork perspective lens. Lots of opportunity thinking in level 5. There's more of a growth mindset. What's the opportunity here? A little more peace and confidence in level 5. So for example, today when I was coaching one of my clients, she had a lot of level 1 energy and level 2 when it was talking about parenting her teenager around a specific issue. And so we got through what was at the root of that level 1 and level 2. And then I asked her the question when she was wanting to make a decision about something. I said, well, what's the opportunity here? What might be an opportunity in this situation? And she was able to think of what the benefits would be in what's going on here for both her and for her son. So immediately shifting from 1 and 2 to level 5 and being able to see through the lens here. I'm not a victim. There is something that can be done here. And then make a plan from that perspective, a win-win, a plan that can help her son and her win in this situation. So the advantage here, just like it may sound, is you come up with ideas. There's lots of opportunities and purpose in every situation. And it's not as much taking things personally. One of the disadvantages of being at level 5 is that there's just so many opportunities that there may be overthinking. Like, I have so many ideas, I have so many things, I can't make a decision. It's paralysis analysis. I'm thinking about it too much because it's just too much to even think about acting on. So level 5 energy, just think about when that shows up in your life and how that feels to you. And we'll move further up to level 6. The perspective here is everyone always wins at level 6. It's very much a connection perspective. And if you think about times in your life when you've been in the flow, like when you lose track of time, you're doing something that's just engaging to you, you're really present in the moment, that's level 6 energy. And along with that comes joy, empathy, and satisfaction. All really great feelings. So the advantage here, obviously, is being able to connect with no judgment. Very challenging to do, especially when someone has a differing opinion of you or differing values of you. But when you're in a level 6, you're able to see beyond the differences and see the similarities and see how everyone is connected and everything is connected when you're at a level 6. A disadvantage there is that you may not appear to be grounded, or you might act on impulse. So maybe you're just not as realistic, I guess, is the perception that some people may have. So think about times in your life when you maybe have experienced level 6 energy. And then I'm going to move on to level 7, where winning and losing are illusions. So when someone is in level 7 energy, it's full creation perspective. There's complete objective thinking. There's no judgment. There's fearlessness and complete unconditional love. And I do want to say level 7 is not a level at which anybody can fully resonate 100% of the time, but it is one of those energy levels that you can access in certain areas of your life through practice, through meditation, through intentional thought thinking, and all of those coaching tools that work in helping you shift your energy level. And then the advantage here is you're able to connect with your inner genius and co-create your life experience, which means you're able to shift from level to level at will. You're no longer pulled by level 1 or level 2 and stuck there. You're able to recognize it and immediately shift out. And then the disadvantage is others might see you as being disconnected with reality. Okay. So those are the 7 levels of energy. And then what I'm going to be doing now is we're going to be doing kind of a workshop through this. If you registered through the link, the Zoom link, you had access to a document for the worksheet. But if you did not, I'm going to put it in the chat so you can see it on your end. It's in the chat now. And when we work through this, it has a little cheat sheet at the top to help you know what the different levels of energy are. And then we'll work through some exercises there. So just take a look at it. And I'm going to get the worksheet in front of me too. Okay. So again, at the top, it's just kind of a breakdown of the different levels. So you can use that as a reference. And then what I'd like you to do is just take a moment and reflect. If you can write it down, great. If not, it can just be something you think about. Where you notice the energies showing up in your life. So think about these different levels and just pick one that you feel like shows up a lot for you. And there's no judgment either way, good or bad, right or wrong, it's just awareness. So think about that. And then think about where in your life you see that energy showing up regularly, and then consider that in your mind. So I'll just give you a moment to reflect on that. And again, we'll get to the end and I'll open the whole floor up for conversation, but for now is just working through on your own, and we'll reflect at the end. Okay, so once you have that awareness, it's funny because that's the next topic I'm going to talk about. I'm going to teach you 3 things that can be done to shift the energy. The first one is what I just mentioned, is awareness. And that's what you're doing right now. When you look at those energy levels and you're like, okay, I have a lot of level 1 energy in this area of my life. You have awareness around it. That is step 1. And also part of step 1 is to accept that it's there. So often, myself included, when you see that there's a drain going on, there can be a lot of judgment around it. Well, I should have done something about that. I shouldn't have said that. That person shouldn't have done that. You know, there's all these things out of my control. Before you even get to that, just accept it. This is how things are right now. This is what I see right now. And just avoid the judgment around it. Because really, when you're doing that, that's more of the lower level 1 and 2. That's bringing you down anyway. Okay? That's first step. The second step is to practice reframing your thoughts on what's happening. So, for example, a really great question to ask yourself is, what's another way to see this situation? What might be another way that I could see this situation? And if it's hard for you to access that, another way of looking at it is, what might someone completely from the outside think about this situation? What might somebody outside of the situation think about what's going on? And also, how could this be an opportunity instead of a problem? How might this be an opportunity instead of a problem? So to break it down, like from a level 1 and level 2 perspective, as an example, a level 1 perspective is, I have no control. Then the level 3, to shift it up just a notch, is, what small step can I take? That gives you back one little bit of sense of control. So instead of I have no control, which is very limiting, it's what small step can I take in this situation? And then if you're in a level 2 state, like it's their fault that this is happening, or it's their fault, a question you could ask yourself here is, how can I create a win-win? Which would be more level 5. So there are questions that you can ask yourself to reframe the situation in your mind and shift your thoughts. So that's step 2, is reframing your thoughts. And then step 3 is to focus on empowering actions. So for example, when you're in level 1 and 2, the more catabolic levels, if you want to shift it up to more of an acceptance, which is level 3, just acknowledging the role that you've played in the situation and make an actionable step about how to move forward. Just taking responsibility and making a plan for what to do next. Or to access more of a level 4, to shift your focus from yourself to others. So how can I support them in this situation? What might they be needing in this situation, to access more of that compassion side? And I also like to throw in there, what am I really needing right now? How can I soothe myself or give myself some compassion in this situation? So for example, when, like going back to the, I'm stuck in this job that's not fulfilling, instead of self-judgment, which is like, I'm stuck in this and I'm not doing anything about it. It's like, what am I really needing in this situation? And how can I have compassion for myself through this? And then to shift it up to a level 5, looking for ways to partner with other people to find solutions that really benefit everyone. It's a really great way of thinking about it. Like, you're not alone in this. How can I partner with someone and get support through this? Or how can we support each other through this? I said that there were 3, but there are actually 6. So step number 4, another thing you can do is practice regulating your own energy, physical energy. So doing things that help you feel more grounded and centered, like going for a walk outside, meditating, exercising, dancing, singing, anything that helps you regulate your own nervous system. Uplifting activities like creative expression, listening to music, painting, doing some type of craft, whatever it is that helps you elevate your physical and nervous system and ground your nervous system through that too. And then number 5 is to just detach from the outcomes and be able to see things from a higher perspective. I like to call it a 10,000-mile lens. So something that can be helpful in this situation is when you feel like things are out of your control, it feels like you're in this little bubble, like I'm stuck in this situation. But if you actually visualize yourself lifting out of your reality, your little bubble on this earth, to where you can see the earth, and then you get higher and higher, and the earth gets smaller and smaller, and eventually you start to see neighboring planets, and you see the sun, and you see other orbiting, universes, and imagine yourself as this little, like, itty bitty thing in this vast world, in this vast universe. Can help you see another perspective is, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only person experiencing this. I'm connected with so many other beings who are struggling right now. So that can definitely help you give it a little perspective, because when you're struggling, it can feel very isolating. And the last thing is to just focus on possibilities, or be open to possibilities, and asking yourself questions like, what could this situation teach me? What might it be here to teach me? And how can I use this moment to create something meaningful? What I might be learning about myself in this situation. And that is something that I've used in my own life. It was the middle of COVID, and I was living in another state with my daughter, who was having really serious mental health challenges, where she had to go to a program that was only available in another state. And we were living in a long-term kind of hotel situation where we were sharing a room. And I could have seen that as like, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. The world is falling apart. My daughter's falling apart. But I did look at it as like, what's the opportunity here? What might this experience be here to teach me? And I definitely access that level 4 lens of, how can I have compassion for her and myself here? And the opportunity here is, we get some time together alone, the two of us. And what a great opportunity for us to be able to bond in this way, even though it's not the way that I would have chosen. So it's just how you ask yourself, what are the possibilities here? What is in it for me, right? What could be the long-term benefit of this challenge? So now, going back to the worksheet, what you're going to do is we're going to look at number 3, which is question number 3. No, question number 1. On my page, I put 3. Okay. So what I want you to do is think of a recent challenge or something that you're challenged with right now that may be more of a level 1, level 2 energy. Whether it's like, I feel heaviness and victim mentality, like things happen to me, I have no control, or there's a lot of frustration, resentment, conflict happening. So just think about that challenge. You can write it down if you'd like. And then also identify the energy at which you are operating, or you are operating in this situation. Now, with that awareness, reflect upon how that energy level you're in affects your response in the situation. And remember, this is done without any judgment. This is just awareness. So when I'm operating from this energy level, how am I showing up? What do I do? What do I say? What do I not do? Then, with that awareness, the question becomes, how might you be able to shift into a higher energy level in that situation? So, for the examples that I was giving, what mindset shift might be available to you? What's another way of looking at things? How might you be able to reframe the thoughts? What action might you be able to take to help you feel a little more powerful in this situation? Or at least have a little more acceptance in the situation? How can you regulate your energy? Even if the situation is draining, how can you take care of your body and your mind and your spirit? How might you be able to zoom out and gain a higher perspective and think about what this opportunity is here for you to teach you, or what might be a positive outcome as a result of this challenge? So just identify for yourself. Don't feel like you need to do it all. What I always recommend is you just pick one thing that feels right in your gut. You know what? I could do that. And just start there. And I'm going to be sending this out so you can rewatch it and see all of the different options. And once one thing is working for you, you can pick a different one. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't try to shift your mindset and ground your nervous system and get a higher perspective and. Just pick one. Just pick one. Implement it for a week or so, and then reevaluate. Then, speaking to going forward and taking action, question number 4 is, what small daily habit can you implement to cultivate a more anabolic or positive energy, whether it be in this situation or just in life in general? So think about something you know you can do every day. So for some people, it's a gratitude reflection. For some people, it's meditation, exercise, playing with pets, going for a walk on the beach if you live near a beach, getting outside, just a small daily habit to help you feel a little bit more of that anabolic energy. And then just out of curiosity, curiosity is one of those anabolic feelings. If you were to ask yourself for question number 5, which energy level do you want to embrace more of in your life and why? So just reflect. If I were to be able to choose at will between these 7 energy levels and have one of them be in my life a little bit more, which one would it be and why? So reflecting upon that. And then being able to apply it into your current perspective on the challenging situation with the current perspective. When you're reframing your perspective, if you look at the last couple parts of the worksheet, when you pick a situation, and you can do this here and now, or you can do this after the workshop, pick a situation that's currently causing you stress and reframe it from a level 5 or higher. So see if you can access level 5 or higher energy in it, and just get curious. So level 5, what's the opportunity here? Level 6, how am I feeling? How can I access connection in this situation? And level 7, how can I remove all judgment? You're just kind of playing around with the idea. It may not be accessible to you right now, and that's okay. And then with that, if you were to be able to have more 5, 6, or 7 energy around it, what might be a new empowered perspective that could come as a result? A new way of seeing things. So I have no control could be there's a lot of opportunity for growth here. Just an idea. And then just for final reflections, it's always important when you're learning something new so that it's not just another thing you ingest and then walk away and forget. Think about what your biggest takeaway here is. So something you learned and maybe an aha you had about yourself or a situation in your life, or something that you know you want to start doing more of or less of in your life, just awareness of a takeaway to reflect upon that. And then also solidify the action step you're going to take after today. Is what it is that you're going to do starting now so that you can start bringing a little more of that anabolic energy into your life. So the idea of this workshop is you're shifting your perspective, you're shifting your energy, which will shift your life. And the more you practice that, the better able you will be able to do it in all situations, because life happens. Even someone who's able to shift at will and really be able to adjust their mindset, there's stuff that comes your way that you're not prepared for. There's stuff that happens in the world that it's out of your control, and it really can bring that catabolic energy. But the better awareness you have around what's happening inside of you, the more control you're going to have over how you feel in your life. And that's really where coaching comes in. Because when you have someone there to reflect back to you what's going on, you're able to really look at yourself objectively and be more intentional with the decisions that you make moving forward. Because coaching isn't just about having a cheerleader, it's about having an accountability partner. Somebody's going to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Somebody who's not going to tell you what to do, but help you decide how you want to do it. Because that's the perspective you want to take in your life. You want to be in the driver's seat. Level 1 energy is going to tell you that you are not in the driver's seat. But as your coach, I'm there to help support you in seeing the opportunities that are available and taking empowered action toward the things that you want, so you don't feel so drained by the things that you don't want. And really, that does come down to working side by side as partners to break down your energy levels, see objectively where you are, and then intentionally through meetings and conversations, evaluate and assess and decide and make decisions until eventually you're on the other side and you don't even realize that this transformation has happened. And suddenly you wake up feeling inspired. You wake up feeling excited for the day. You feel like there's more opportunities in front of you. You don't feel as drained by challenges. You feel happier, more uplifted, more joyful and purposeful in your life. And as a result, your relationships change, your health changes, your finances change, because you really are looking at life from a different lens, a different perspective. And that's what I would offer you through one-on-one coaching. So to schedule a consultation and make sure that this is a good fit for you, the doors are open, and I am going to send a link in the chat to schedule a time just to talk about coaching and make sure it's a good fit and see where you are and basically give you a little life audit, help you decide what your next step is. So there you have it, the 7 levels of energy. And I am now going to open the room for questions, conversation, and reflections. And I really appreciate that you came.